Hi friends, it's me, Mary, and I'm here today to talk to you about some more about the book I'm reading with the Tandem Collective Read-Along called The Spoon Stealer by Leslie Crew. And I'll just let you know up front that this is part of an ad PR campaign. I received this book for free in order to participate, or agreeing to participate in their ad campaign that's really going along on Instagram. But I'm doing some things here on booktube because it's really a good book, and I believe I have more of an audience here on booktube than on Instagram. But anyway, so they've had a reading schedule, and they have little questions each day as we read the book, questions that kind of have parallels to the book. And so I thought I'd just do, it's kind of a tag, not a tag, but I'm asking you some questions, and I'd really love for you to leave your answers down below. There's let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions, and I've got some things to share. I'll share my answers, and I hope you share your answers too. So please feel free to join in, even if you haven't read the book, because these questions, like I said, they have parallels, but they aren't questions actually about the book. And I don't really think they'll give you a little bit about kind of what the book's about, but won't give any spoilers. So, having said that, let's get started. The first question I have for you is, would you ever take a memoir class? And I'm asking that because in this book, Emmeline Darling, she's the main character, and she's in her 70s, and she originally was born in Nova Scotia, Canada, but she now lives in England. And like I said, she's in her 70s, and she's kind of wanting to process some of things that happened in her life, and so she's writing her memoir. And she joins this class, and she also needed to really meet some more friends. She has Vera, who's her best friend. She lives with Vera, and there's a little interesting thing about Vera. And she lives with Vera, but she really wants some more friends, and she goes to this writing class, and she really connects with some of the people, and they decide to continue meeting and to continue listening, especially to Emmeline's life story, and so we get to come along with her. So it's a dual timeline, at least for half of the book. Where we are with Emmeline and her friends in England, but then she reads her memoir, and we read along the memoir along with her, and so it's kind of like we're part of their little reading group, memoir writing group. So again, back to my first question: would you ever take a memoir class? And so for me, I have not taken a memoir class. I doubt that I would. I don't think writing is my strong suit. I'm a much better reader and much better at drawing than writing. I have done a kind of a memoir collage, though, and I have taken a workshop on how to tell your story verbally, and there is some writing with that, but yeah, I haven't actually done a memoir class. And I've also shared parts of my story. I've been interviewed, and I have been on PBS, the local Arizona, kind of southern Arizona part of PBS, and that had to do with the fact that I'm a birth mom, and I was really, for a number of years, I was part of the adoption community and trying to really help women who have had an adoption experience go through the healing process, as I needed that help too. And so that was really a big part of my life. And then there's a second question that's really asked, I think, on day 4. And I think I'm only on day 3. It's only day 3 of the, so I looked ahead. but it has to do with the memoir question. So if you were to write a memoir, would you leave anything out? And in the book, Emmeline decides that it's kind of, her life story is kind of bringing up a lot of anxiety, and she's starting to feel a little bit of shame on some details of her life, which we don't know what they are. The reader doesn't know. And she decides to abruptly stop writing her memoir. So the question is there anything that you would leave out? And I know sometimes, now that I'm kind of away from the adoption community and away from supporting women who've had that experience, I sometimes get a little bit shy about that portion of my life. If somebody doesn't know me, I kind of think, ooh, do I really want to share that? And so I really try to push myself to not let that become a shameful thing, not let that become a thing where I'm worried about, will people accept me and like me if I've had this experience, and just to go through it and keep learning and growing through the process. So that's kind of how I felt about that. But yeah, so what do you think? Then the next question, number 3, has to do with the title of the story, The Spoon Stealer. Emmeline, and you know this isn't really a spoiler, you know this, you can find out on the back of the cover, and you know it fairly soon in the storyline that she is a spoon stealer. And she kind of, it's sort of a healing thing for her. There's a tie-in with her brother in spoons. One of her brothers, the brother she was closest with in spoons. And so I'm not, I don't steal things, but I do collect things. So the question is are there any things that you collect? And one of the things that I collect, and I have just a small portion here, I have a picture of my bookshelf on Instagram, but I collect Jane Austen retellings. I love Jane Austen retellings. And so I try to collect as many of the books, even if they're terrible. I still really like them. And so that's one of the things that I collect. I also collect small decorative boxes. I love small boxes. And then I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but you kind of get a couple of things. Like I think I have a turtle necklace, and I may have had some turtles out of my garden, and then all of a sudden people think you're collecting them. That's happened to me with angels, turtles, and frogs. And people are all of a sudden giving you those, and so you kind of inadvertently start collecting things. Has that ever happened to you? Anyway, those are the things that I kind of collect. And then the final question is there a book or a series that you just don't want to end? The story is so good, or the characters are so rich that you just want it to keep going. And apologize. In fact, if I can't stop and restart this, so we're just going to go and turn off my my timer. I'm boiling eggs. You're kind of getting a little tour of my kitchen, my dining room. I'm boiling eggs for Easter. Anyway, okay, so are there any books that you just don't want to end? Well, you can probably guess, because I collect Jane Austen books, that those, especially Pride and Prejudice, I just would love to live in this story. And so, so I collect the retellings and the continuation, the kind of the fan fiction continuations. And so I'm looking for like what I will consider the Mary canon of Pride and Prejudice. And so I'll just share a few books here. So for Mary Bennet's storyline, I love The Other Bennet Sister by Janice Hadlow. So for me, this is what happened to Mary Bennet. Having said that, there is a play, Christmas at Pemberley, and there's more than one, and they have a little subtitle, and I can't remember what the Mary Bennet one was. It's I saw it 2 Christmases ago, and I love the storyline for that Mary Bennet. So I really would like to get a hold of a copy of the play, because that's a super cute storyline for Mary Bennet. But as far as books goes, so far, this is what happened to Mary Bennet. And then, so I don't have the book, but I read What Kitty Did Next. And so far, that's my Kitty Bennett story. I really enjoyed that story. Not quite as much as Mary Bennett's story, but it was really good. Another story is The Murder of Mr. Wickham by Claudia Gray. I kind of had a love-hate relationship with this book. It gave me a lot of anxiety as I was thinking about all the different couples and somebody was more than likely going to be the murderer of Mr. Wickham. And I'm like, I don't really want any of them to be the murderer. What is this going to mean in the Bennett universe? Or not the Jane Austen universe. What is this going to mean? But the storyline with the Darcy's son, and I'm forgetting which couple it is. I want to say it's Northanger Abbey, but I'm not sure. But anyway, and a daughter of one of the other couples, and they kind of have a little love story going on in here, and I really enjoyed that aspect of this book. And another aspect that I liked of this book that's kind of a continuing storyline, which I thought was brilliant. I thought Claudia Gray was brilliantly put this in, is each of the couples were having a little bit of a marital problem. She kind of looked at their personalities and thought, what friction would they have because of their different personalities? And I thought she did a really good job. So, other than the fact that you don't want any of them to end up being the murderer of Mr. Wickham, it was good. And then I've read Pamela Aiden's trilogy on a novel of Fitzwilliam Darcy Gentleman. And so there's An Assembly Such as This, Duty and Desire, and These Three Remain. And this is Mr. Darcy's story. And there was a few things that were a little funky. It kind of gets a little gothic-y in some area. But for the most part, I really liked this series. And I thought she did a good job. So that can be my Mr. Darcy. And then the other one, I haven't read this one yet. I'm going to read this year, and that's The Clergyman's Wife by Molly Greeley. And this will be Charlotte Lucas, and so I'm hoping this will be my Charlotte Lucas one. And then, let's see, I just need kind of, I guess Mr. Wickham could be Lydia. There's the play that I talked about, Christmas at Pemberley. This past year's one had to do with Lydia, and I thought it was really good. And so we kind of need Jane. I need to get some more, maybe children of the Darcys. Georgiana, I need her storyline. And yeah, it would be interesting to have a prequel of Mr. and Mrs. Bennett. And then the one that I've really also, I'll just do one other Jane Austen, and that's Mansfield Park. And Jane Aiken also did Mansfield Park Revisited, which I really, really like. It focused on Susan, Fanny's sister. My only thing about this was I wanted more. And then the other books that I absolutely love, and it's a series, and it's just kind of in its infancy, and that's The Winds Are Not by S.J. Bennett. It's Her Majesty the Queen Investigates. I've also read All the Queen's Men, and she has a new book coming out, I think, in August. And the thing that makes me worried is the Queen is in her 80s. And so I'm like, how many books is she going to be able to write? Will she write prequels? I hope so, because I just love this, and it's just a way to kind of stay in the Queen's life even though she's passed. So those are the books that that I really love. I'd love to hear what series you wish would continue going, or what book you wish would continue going. Maybe it'll even be one that will be a good recommendation for me. So once again, this is The Spoon Stealer by Leslie Crew. I will leave a link if you're interested in buying it. It's halfway through, and it's really a great book. Here comes Jinx. Kat from Kat's Novel Adventure. She and I just finished The Midnight Library, and this has been a really good book. It's got some similar themes. Did I say that? I had to redo this video because there was no audio in my first one, so I don't know if I said it in this one or that one. But anyway, very good. And if I didn't say, there's also just some trigger warnings for this book. It does contain war. There's, oops, he's on the keyboard. There's war, there's suicide and mental health issues, and I think there may have been one more, but I can't remember what it is. I will be in the description box. So thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you again next time, and I hope all your books are a good book, and I look forward to hearing your answers to these questions. Bye.